Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. So I've actually got a new location where I'm going to be recording from going forward. We actually moved offices and everything, and I've actually got a nice wall here. I didn't plan it this way; it just worked out quite fortuitously. So we've just had round 15 of Super Rugby, 17 done and dusted. It was a pretty interesting weekend. A lot of really high-scoring games. Some games that were pretty close. All I can say is, for the people out there who thought Super Rugby was dead and it was boring, and I think it's completely been proven wrong this year. I think it's been probably the most competitive it's been in many years. Still so many teams vying for the playoff positions. I think the top four spots are basically done. The Crusaders have qualified top team, well deserved. The next team in points is the Hurricanes, but because of the stupid system that we have, they qualify in fourth spot. The Jaguares, I think, have cemented their spot in second, and the Brumbies basically have also cemented their position in third. And I think the four best teams in the competition have made it to the top, and I think it's going to end up that way. The Brumbies and the Jaguares could swap places. That's if the Jaguares lost against the Sunwolves, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So yeah, I think we're looking at whoever will work at some permutations a bit later. But yeah, it looks like those four teams have secured home quarterfinals. So we've got the Crusaders, the Jaguares, the Brumbies, and the Hurricanes. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the scores for the weekend. So first game of the weekend, we had the Highlanders versus the Bulls. I did watch this game. It was a little bit of a strange kind of game. Yeah, there were some great tries scored and things like that, but still for this late in the season, there was still quite a few handling errors. It just didn't seem like either team. I think both of them wanted to win desperately, but it just didn't seem like anyone could really get dominance over the other side. At one point, it looked like the Highlanders were going to run away with it, and the Bulls bounced back. This goes to show them bringing back Andre Pollard was a good move. Now somebody's moving stuff in my office. That's the noise that you're hearing. But yeah, the game finished off 24 draw, which not good thing for the Highlanders because they still now have another weekend where they have to try and make the playoffs. But I've been doing the maths and I've been reading up about it, and it looks like the Bulls now have qualified. It literally would have to be, I think they'd have to lose to the Lions by 48 points, and then I can't remember if the Chiefs have to beat the Rebels by 48 points. That's a huge big swing, and they'd finish in 8th spot. So it looks like the Bulls have qualified. So I'm pretty happy about that, but I don't want to be. I really got to make 100% sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the lowest spot that they can have is 8th spot, and they're currently in 5th. Next game of the weekend, we had the Reds versus the Blues. I did watch this game, and I felt like the Blues threw this game away. I'm not taking anything away from the Reds. It's just that blue side. It's their hopes of making the playoffs are completely destroyed. Same with the Reds. It was almost a nothing kind of game, and I just find the Blues just can't. They battled away from home, and it was just another game where they battled away from home. And the Reds were very, very impressive on the day. So yeah, 29-28 to the Reds. Next game of the weekend was probably the most biggest game of intent from the Crusaders, coming back from that loss from the Chiefs, 66-0 against the Rebels, that's a hiding of note. I think it's lower than the score last time. I think they lost by 85 points, the Rebels, against the Crusaders at home. But yeah, that was a statement of intent, and the Rebels are not a bad side. Not Crusaders level, but 66-0. That's a huge big hiding. I was watching the game, and I was just hoping at one of the penalties that somebody would just try to kick for the posts, just to get that 3 points, just so you don't have that big fat zero. But yeah, I think Crusaders showing that they're coming on. That last week was probably a wake up call for them, and they're going to be really hard to beat going forward. Plus now they're going to the knockout rounds, and they just start playing knockout rugby, and 66-0 that's a huge big score. Next game of the weekend, we've got the Waratahs versus the Brumbies. Brumbies winning that game 35-24. Brumbies absolutely cementing their spot in the Australian Conference. It was a must-win game for the Waratahs. I don't think there's any permutation now where they can make the playoffs. But yeah, that Brumbies side is well drilled, well skilled. They've got it all, and I think they're going to be a really hard team to beat at home because they're such a structured side that it's very difficult to play. You know, that very expansive kind of game against a structured side like that. So yeah, whoever has to travel. I don't know, where do the Brumbies play? Canberra, I think it's where they play. I think they're going to find it really difficult to go play there. Next game, we got the Lions versus the Hurricanes. Hurricanes winning that game 37-17. One thing I can say about the Hurricanes, they used their bench to absolute perfection. They played the conditions really well. They knew they were going to have problems in the last 20 minutes, and then that's when they brought in their big X-Factor players like Artie Severe and Dane Coles. Yeah, it really was a thumping. Look, the Lions losing Quagga Smith they just didn't have anyone that was playing towards the ball. That's one thing I have to say about this weekend, especially with the South African side. It was very, very weak at the breakdown, and yeah, I don't know. The Lions for me are missing some. Yes, they've got Malcolm Marx and they've got a Quagga Smith and they've got a few really good players, but I think they need a decent number 9 that's going to be able to feed good ball to Elton Yankees. You know, Elton Yankees is also a bit off the boil at the moment. I think they need to recruit a number 9 and they need to recruit a proper fetcher. I know Quagga Smith is excellent and he brings a lot of sevens type skill, but they also need another kind of fetcher. Somebody who's much better at the breakdown, who can obviously hit those rucks really hard. Because at the breakdown they were completely demolished, and it's becoming a little bit of a pattern with the South African sides that we're just not competing well enough at the breakdown, and it seems like we have these one-off runners, and they surge ahead, and they get isolated, play over the ball, turnover, penalty, done, kick down the field, and we can't carry on playing like that. You know, we've got to either have the support players come up a lot quicker or try to slow down the people that are going forward so there are support players around them. Because there's no point in playing this super fast game if you're not going to have the support around you and you're not going to be able to win your own ball. So either slow it down a lot more or have better support runners. So I noticed that in most of the South African sides this weekend that it's like one-off runners, and it just doesn't work. Next game of the weekend, I didn't actually watch this game, was the Stormers versus the Sunwolves. I do have the highlights recorded, so I probably will watch it a bit later. But 31-18, great victory for the Stormers. Maybe could have got a bit more higher score, but at home. Last game, I watched the first half of this game and then I watched the highlights. The Jaguares versus the Sharks. Yeah, that Jaguares side is phenomenal. I think exceptionally good side, well trained. Their discipline is really good. Their line speed was impressive. And another thing, at the breakdown, the South African side, the Sharks were weak. They were really weak at the breakdown. I still don't like Robert Dupree playing 10. I think Curran Bosch brings a lot more dynamic play to the 10 position as opposed to Robert Dupree. I'm not saying Robert Dupree's a bad player. I just think he's the wrong kind of player for the Sharks. And you know, you need a fly half that not only can dictate the game, but can dictate the game the way that it's supposed to be played for that team. Who's good? The Sharks are a forward-dominated team, so they should have a fly half that plays that way. But yeah, I was going through the permutations for this week. I think there's so much between 5 and 8. There is so many permutations for who's where they're going to end up this season. At the moment, it looks like there are 3 South African sides in the wildcard positions with the Rebels. But yeah, it'd be nice to see the Chiefs maybe make it into the playoffs, because they have played really well at the end of the season. There's so many permutations. The Highlanders could possibly make it as well. But yeah, I think this next coming weekend is probably going to be the hardest weekend for most of the teams. I think it's going to be a lot of derbies. I think the Lions are playing the Bulls at home. So that's going to be a real tough derby. The Stormers are playing the Sharks at home, and that's going to be another intense derby. So I think those two sides, the winner of those two sides, games will probably make it. Then I think the Chiefs are playing the Rebels. They can also make it. Sorry about that. My camera came loose there. So yeah, lots of permutations for this coming week. So yeah, when I do my prediction video later in this week, I think it's going to be a lot of talk on who's going where and what's going what. But yeah, guys, put down your favorite game of the weekend, where you think your permutations are. Do you think the right teams have made it to the top of their conferences? I personally think they have. And and where do you think your team's going to come in? I'm super happy that the Bulls are in, but now we're trying to see who we're going to be playing. If we come in 8th spot, we're flying all the way to Christchurch to play the Crusaders. 7th spot, we're flying to Buenos Aires to go play the Jaguares. 6th spot, we're flying to Canberra to play the Brumbies, and 5th spot, we're flying to Hamilton to play. Is it Hamilton? To the Cake Bowl to go play the Hurricanes. But yeah, so there's a hell of a lot to play for this last week. But listen, guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. Chat soon. Cheers. Bye.